Every morning presents you with a decision. You can rise with intention, or you can allow the world to drag you forward without direction. It is easy to stay asleep, easy to delay, easy to let the day take control before you ever do. But the truth is this: every moment of your morning is a chance to shape who you become. If you fail to take command of your thoughts when you wake up, then you surrender your mindset to forces that do not care about your growth. Most people begin their day in reaction mode. They reach for their phone. They absorb the news. They accept the demands placed on them. And before they realize it, their mind no longer belongs to them. But imagine something different. Imagine waking up and choosing your mindset deliberately. Imagine your first thoughts giving you strength instead of stress. Imagine starting your day aligned with the person you know you are capable of becoming. Your morning can become a place of mental training, a space where discipline is practiced, a place where purpose is reinforced. Like a Stoic, you always have control over how you respond to the world. And that control begins the moment your eyes open. If you are ready to take control of your mornings and therefore your life, then commit to this path. It is a commitment to growth, a commitment to mastery of the mind, a commitment to living with intention. Together we unlock discipline and Stoicism one morning at a time. Most people wake up and immediately surrender control. They check their phones, they scroll endlessly, they react to messages and emails, and before they even stand up, their power is already gone. The day is no longer theirs. This sense of helplessness feels familiar, that constant feeling of reacting instead of leading. But it does not have to be this way. Control does not come from waiting for perfect conditions. It comes from deciding to reclaim the morning. Imagine using the first moments of your day to anchor yourself in discipline instead of chaos. Imagine choosing purpose over distraction. Small actions repeated every morning create massive change over time, like planting a seed daily and nurturing it with commitment until it grows into something strong and unbreakable. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Every morning gives you the chance to shape those thoughts. You decide where your mind goes the moment you wake up. Transformation begins with one choice. Claim the first hour of your day. Use it to build a disciplined routine that supports everything you do. This is not about perfection. It is about consistency, showing up daily, honoring discipline, building clarity, strength, and resilience. You do not need drastic change. You only need to decide that your mornings belong to you. When you do that, you set the tone for your entire life. Think about how often the day takes control before you even notice. How much time is lost reacting to emails, social media, and demands beyond your control? When you wake up with purpose and protect that first moment of discipline, you create a foundation that supports you through anything the day brings. It is easy to get lost in the rush, especially when you first wake up. That is why consistency matters. You do not need to change everything at once. Daily habits practiced consistently create real transformation. These actions may feel small at first, but over time they compound, like building muscle through repetition. Each effort adds strength. Each disciplined choice builds momentum. At first it may feel like nothing is happening, but growth is happening beneath the surface. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. True wealth is knowing your limits and honoring them daily. What matters is not the destination. It is your commitment to the process. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reinforce who you are becoming. Each morning you move closer to your goals. Even by a small step you build momentum. This is not about dramatic change. It is about quiet consistency. Discipline is not easy, but it is necessary. The first hour of your day is yours to command. How you use it determines the flow of everything that follows. Small changes practiced daily will compound into results beyond imagination, just like a tree that grows steadily stronger with time. Quietly and steadily beneath the surface, growth is always happening before it ever becomes visible. The changes that begin with a disciplined morning routine often go unnoticed at first, but like a tree taking root, your habits are sinking deeper every day. They are building strength you cannot yet see, supporting a future you will one day stand proud of. Every action you take in the morning is a step toward the life you choose to live. Every moment you resist reaching for your phone or allowing your thoughts to drift into distraction is a victory. It is silent, it is small, but it is the kind of victory that shapes an entire life over time. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment or ideal conditions, remember this. Consistency is what matters. The steady rhythm of your mornings sets the foundation for everything else. Just as a sculptor shapes stone through small deliberate movements, you shape your life through repeated intentional action. This begins by taking control of your mornings, by starting small, by committing to quiet discipline every day. Over time, you build a mental fortress strong enough to withstand whatever life brings. You will not always be perfect. Some mornings will test you more than others. But consistency is not about perfection. It is about commitment, choosing again and again to rise and move forward no matter how small the step. That is where real power lies. That is how a life of purpose is built, before ambition pulls you forward, before the task list demands your attention, and the chaos of the day rushes in. Begin here. Begin with gratitude. It is simple yet powerful. Gratitude is often misunderstood as a reaction to good circumstances, but it is more than a feeling. Gratitude is a tool, a mental discipline that reshapes the way your brain works. Instead of diving straight into noise, you pause. You recognize what is already good, what is already present. Imagine waking up and identifying 3 specific things you appreciate. Not vague ideas, but real, tangible moments. The warmth of your blanket, the weight of your body grounded on the floor, the quiet stillness that only exists in the early hours, the light breaking through your window. These details are easy to ignore, yet they are what give life depth. The more you focus on them, the more you train your mind to see abundance that already surrounds you. When you start your day with gratitude, you are not just naming positives, you are shifting your mind away from lack. Most people wake up thinking about what they must do, what they are missing, what is wrong. Their mind immediately searches for gaps. Gratitude closes those gaps. It tells your brain that this moment is enough, that you already have what you need right now. This is not about pretending life is perfect. It is about choosing where your attention goes. When your day begins with scarcity, you move through life tense and reactive. But when it begins with gratitude, you move from a place of abundance. You start seeing opportunity. You not ice what works. You appreciate stillness. You become present. Gratitude does not remove challenges. It changes how you meet them. It becomes a practice, and like any discipline, it grows stronger the more you use it. It becomes the lens through which you see the world. It is easy to chase more recognition, but none of that brings peace without gratitude as a foundation. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that being alive right now is already enough. You do not need to achieve everything to feel worthy. You do not need comparison to validate your existence. Epictetus reminds us that wealth is not having many possessions, but having few wants. This is not only about material things. It is about peace, contentment, knowing that what you seek already lives within you. When you begin your day with gratitude, you begin with enoughness, and that feeling becomes the base for everything that follows. When you approach the day from abundance, your responses change. Calm replaces panic. Clarity replaces frustration. Life does not become easier, but you become stronger. Gratitude builds resilience. You begin to see setbacks as lessons, obstacles as training, growth as inevitable. With this mindset, you stop chasing happiness. You stop waiting for conditions to improve. You understand that happiness is a choice, a perspective you build from within. Tomorrow, when you wake up, pause before the world demands anything from you, before noise steals your peace. Find 3 small things to be grateful for. Nothing grand, just real moments. The sound outside your window, the warmth of your drink, the comfort of your bed, even the simple fact that you woke up. These moments anchor you. They remind you that life is already good. No matter what comes next, you are already equipped. Gratitude does not just make you feel better, it makes you stronger. It roots you. It gives peace and purpose. When you begin with gratitude, you begin from abundance, and from that place anything becomes possible. Words carry more power than most people realize. The words you speak shape relationships, actions, and direction. But the most powerful words are the ones you speak to yourself. What do you say when you wake up? Do you strengthen yourself or quietly undermine your confidence? Your internal dialogue sets the tone for everything that follows. Most mornings the mind floods with thoughts, many of them filled with doubt, fear, and negativity. What you may not realize is that you are speaking life into your day, either growth or limitation. Imagine starting each morning by choosing your words deliberately, looking at yourself and declaring strength. It does not need to be dramatic. Simple truths like "I am capable" or "I am growing stronger" each day are enough to shift your mindset. These are not empty affirmations. They are anchors in reality. When you repeat them, your brain begins to align. Challenges do not disappear, but your response to them changes. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You recognize your ability to endure, to adapt, to rise. The first words you speak to yourself either build a foundation or plant doubt that grows throughout the day. Affirmations do more than change feelings. They shape perception. Carl Jung once said that the greatest problems of life are not solved but outgrown. Life will always bring difficulty. What matters is who you become in response. Affirmations do not remove obstacles. They prepare you to rise above them. They remind you that you are bigger than the challenge in front of you. Awareness of language matters. Many people speak in limitation without noticing. "I cannot. I am not enough. I will never." These words do not stay in your head. They shape belief. Belief shapes behavior. Repetition turns doubt into identity. But you can reverse that pattern. Replace limitation with capability. Instead of "I cannot," choose "I am learning." Instead of fear, choose growth. You may not believe it immediately. That is fine. Consistency is what matters. The more you speak strength, the more your mind accepts it. This is not fake positivity. It is preparation. You are laying the foundation for a new identity. One morning at a time. Reality is shaped through repetition. When you consistently affirm your strengths and your capacity to face difficulty, your brain begins to change. Science shows us that repeated affirmations strengthen neural pathways and create new patterns of thought and behavior. This is neuroplasticity. The mind reshaping itself through repetition and intention. Every time you speak strength into your day, you are actively rewiring your brain to support who you are becoming. You are not waiting for external change. You are initiating internal transformation. But words alone are not enough. They must be supported by action. If you say "I am confident" but never challenge yourself or step beyond comfort, those words lose weight. Affirmations are a foundation, not a finish line. Action is what gives them life. Every choice you make throughout the day either supports or contradicts what you declare. Showing up for yourself, especially when it feels difficult, is how you prove your words are real. When you speak strength, you must move in alignment with it. This practice does not demand perfection. There will be mornings where doubt appears, days when confidence feels distant. That is where consistency matters most. Even on difficult days, affirmations still work. Fear often comes from imagined outcomes, not real ones. By speaking strength, you change the narrative. You remind yourself that fear does not define you and that you are capable of facing whatever stands in front of you. Negative self-talk is easy to fall into. Everyone experiences it. Doubt, frustration, and hesitation are familiar patterns. That is why beginning your day with affirmations is so powerful. It allows you to take control before the mind drifts into autopilot. Even a few minutes of intentional language can change the direction of the day. As this practice becomes routine, your internal dialogue begins to shift naturally. Strength replaces doubt. Confidence replaces hesitation. Facing challenges becomes easier and more grounded. The beauty of this discipline is its simplicity. It costs nothing. It is always available. You do not need the right mood or perfect timing. You simply need to choose to speak life into your day. Look at yourself and say words that empower you. Decide the mindset you will carry, and let your actions reinforce it. There is no need to wait for ideal conditions. Begin now. Speak strength into your day and watch how your reality responds. You cannot think your way into change. You cannot reflect or plan your way out of stagnation. Sometimes the fastest path forward is the simplest. Move your body. It sounds too basic, but it works. The mind and body are deeply connected. When you change your physical state, your mental and emotional state follows. Movement acts like a reset. The moment your body begins to move, something shifts internally. This is not about extremes or performance. It is about breaking inertia. Movement creates momentum, and momentum turns potential into action. A few minutes of stretching or a short walk outside is enough to signal readiness. Your body receives the message that you are awake, capable, and prepared. Most people wait for motivation before acting. That is the mistake. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. You can think all day, but nothing changes until movement begins. Once you move, the rest follows. One action leads to another. The nervous system wakes up. Engagement begins. You are no longer waiting. You are creating momentum. That momentum builds energy, focus, and clarity. Change does not begin in thought. It begins in motion. Morning movement lays the foundation for everything that follows. It does not need to be perfect. It does not need to be intense. It only needs to happen. The first stretch, the first breath, the first step sends a powerful signal. I am in control. It is a small act with massive impact. Morning movement does not require greatness. It requires consistency. Rolling your shoulders, walking around the block, or moving to music all count. This is not about performance. It is about awakening the body and activating potential. Once you move, the shift becomes clear. Endorphins rise. Energy returns. Focus sharpens. You feel present and ready. This is not only physical, it is emotional. The energy created in the morning carries through the day. Awareness improves. Anxiety loosens its grip. The fog begins to lift. You step into the day already in motion, already prepared. Over time, this trains your brain to expect progress. The energy does not come only from movement itself. It comes from what you are telling yourself through action. You are ready. You are capable. You can handle what comes next. Carl Jung said, "You are what you do, not what you intend." Action defines identity. Moving your body is the physical expression of your intention to rise, improve, and engage. Each morning you choose movement, you reinforce belief. You are active. You are capable. You are becoming. You are in control, and you confirm it through action. Every step, every stretch, every breath reinforces that truth. It is easy to forget this. The body is the doorway to the mind. Many believe thought comes first, but the body holds the switch. When you begin your day with movement, you awaken both physical and mental strength. Blood begins to flow, and so do your thoughts. The fog that often lingers after waking fades quickly when the body is active. Resistance breaks. Momentum begins. You step into the day energized and clear. Morning movement is not about punishment or earning worth. It is about respect. Honoring the body as alive, capable, and full of potential. It is not about perfection. It is about presence. Movement reminds you that you are not observing life from the sidelines. You are participating, shaping your day, your direction, and your future. You do not need ideal conditions to begin. You only need to move. Movement is more than physical effort. It is a mental and emotional discipline that sets the tone for everything that follows. When you move, you generate energy, you sharpen focus. You prepare the mind to meet challenge. Thinking alone cannot do this. You do not wait for motivation. You create it. And once you do, the rest of the day aligns with greater ease. Tomorrow, do. Not wait to feel ready. Move even briefly. 5 minutes is enough to change your mindset and your entire day. The world is loud. Distractions, opinions, demands, and constant input surround you. It is easy to absorb it all without thinking, to let outside noise shape your thoughts. But before any of it enters your mind, there is a brief moment where choice exists, a moment where you decide what feeds your attention. The first minutes of the day determine what kind of energy you allow in. You can choose to read words that strengthen you, to listen to ideas that expand your thinking, to write and reflect on direction and purpose. The key is intention. You decide what enters your mind instead of letting the world decide for you. When you begin this way, you ground yourself in clarity and meaning. You create a mental space that supports growth rather than distraction. Noise will always exist. Messages, news, opinions, and demands never stop. But when you begin with intention, you build a mental barrier. You protect your focus before it is pulled away. Carl Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. To do that, you must be intentional about what shapes your thinking and beliefs. If you do not feed your mind with purpose, it will be overwhelmed by noise. Direction fades. Focus dissolves. But when you choose intention, you remain rooted in what matters. Think of the mind as a garden. What you plant in the morning grows throughout the day. Seeds of insight produce CLA. Riti, seeds of wisdom produce direction. But chaos planted early grows into distraction, anxiety, and confusion. When noise fills the mind, weeds take over. Focus becomes difficult. Productivity drops. peace disappears. The quiet choices of the morning decide what grows. By feeding your mind with purpose, you choose growth that aligns with who you want to become. This does not need complexity. A page from a book, a thoughtful podcast during a walk, a few minutes of journaling goals. What matters is choosing nourishment over noise. When you protect this time, you create a foundation that carries you through challenges and distractions. It is like sharpening a blade before use. Without preparation, effort becomes inefficient, but with a sharpened mind, you move with clarity and confidence. The world will remain loud. Opinions will continue. Demands will persist. But your mind does not need to mirror that chaos. You choose what enters. Every morning is a chance to claim that control. Reading, writing, reflecting, listening intentionally. Each choice strengthens focus. Over time, the noise loses power. Distractions fade faster. What matters becomes clearer. This practice is not about isolating yourself from the world. It is about setting direction before engagement, grounding yourself in meaning before being pulled outward, building resilience so that when noise arrives, it does not overwhelm you. Daily life makes it easy to forget control exists. But when you feed your mind with intention, you remember, you decide what matters, you reclaim authority over attention. Feeding your mind with purpose also restores balance. The world constantly demands your time, energy, and focus. Intention gives something back. It fills the mental reserve that sustains clarity and strength. Just as a plant cannot grow without nourishment, the mind cannot thrive on distraction. A garden filled with weeds cannot flourish. The mind is no different. This practice does not require long rituals. 5 intentional minutes are enough. Consistency is what matters. As this becomes habit, clarity deepens. Thoughts sharpen. Actions align. Calm increases. You become better equipped to face whatever comes because your mind was fortified before the noise arrived. Every morning choose purpose. Choose wisely what you allow in. Start small and stay consistent. The effects will ripple through your day, your habits, and your life. The more intentionally you feed your mind, the stronger, clearer, and more resilient you become. This is your garden. What you plant today determines what grows tomorrow. Choose with intention. Visualization is not about daydreaming or escaping into fantasies of success. It goes much deeper than imagining rewards or end results. True visualization is about seeing the person you must become in order to reach your goals. Many people focus only on the outcome. They picture the win, the praise, the comfort that comes at the finish line. But transformation does not happen at the finish. It happens in the becoming. You do not change by seeing yourself succeed. You change by seeing yourself think, act, and decide like someone who already has. Visualization is about stepping into that identity now. Picture yourself choosing discipline when it would be easier to avoid effort. Picture yourself facing pressure with calm. Picture yourself responding to obstacles with clarity and strength. These moments of mental rehearsal are not imaginary distractions. They are training. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It is preparation. You are not hoping for change. You are preparing to be capable of it. The mind does not clearly separate imagined experience from lived experience. When you vividly visualize yourself taking action, your brain activates the same neural pathways as if you were actually doing it. In that sense, you are rehearsing success before it happens. This is not magic. It is mental conditioning. The power of visualization lies in its ability to reshape the brain. Each time you imagine yourself responding with patience, discipline, or resilience, you strengthen the neural connections that support those behaviors. Over time, these rehearsals turn into instincts. What once felt forced becomes natural. This is not a single exercise. It is a daily practice, a habit that slowly turns you into the person you admire. You stop waiting for the future to arrive. You begin stepping into it now. Through small, consistent actions that mirror what you rehearse mentally, you start living as that person. Visualization is not about dreaming of success. It is about building the blueprint for it, just as an athlete trains movements before competition, or a musician practices before performance. You prepare mentally before life demands action. The brain does not prepare for success by thinking about rewards. It prepares by building pathways for decisions, habits, and responses. When you visualize yourself acting with focus, discipline, and composure, you are not imagining a fantasy. You are creating the mental conditions that make those traits automatic. Visualization allows you to practice being your future self before the moment arrives. Success often feels distant because people treat it as something outside themselves, something waiting for the right time. Visualization reveals a different truth. The path forward already exists within you. You simply need to embody it. Each time you visualize, you step into the role of the person who already knows how to succeed. You train your mind and body to move through the world the way that person would. Change does not arrive suddenly. It builds quietly. Through repetition, your behavior begins to shift. You notice yourself responding with confidence where you once hesitated. You make decisions with clarity instead of fear. You meet setbacks with resilience instead of frustration. It feels as though your mind has already chosen the direction and your actions are catching up. This is the strength of visualization. It gives you a space to practice without pressure. You do not need real challenges to begin preparing for them. Every morning you can train quietly. Close your eyes. See yourself navigating the situations ahead. Watch yourself make choices, overcome resistance, and remain steady under stress. Feel what it is like to stay calm and focused. These images are not empty thoughts. They are training for your subconscious. Your brain absorbs them as experience and adjusts accordingly. Visualization alone will not create success. It is not a shortcut or replacement for action, but it is essential. It prepares the mind to act correctly when the moment arrives. It is the foundation on which behavior is built. When you visualize success, you are not just seeing the result. You are seeing yourself choosing correctly when it matters. You are planting seeds in the soil of your mind. With each repetition, those seeds grow into real behavior. Over time, your thoughts, actions, and identity begin to align with the person you have been visualizing. This is the true power of the practice. It aligns your inner world with your outer life. Eventually, your mind begins to guide you automatically toward the outcomes you prepared for. Visualization is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about uncovering who you are always capable of being. Visualization is a tool for personal transformation. Growth is not only about imagining success. It is about preparing yourself to become the kind of person who can turn that success into reality. The more clearly you visualize who you are becoming, the more naturally your actions begin to follow. Your future self is not some distant version waiting years ahead. That person already exists within you right now. All that is required is the mental preparation to bring them forward. When you choose to visualize who you want to become today, you are laying the foundation for who you will be tomorrow. It is time to stop seeing success as something separate from you. Begin seeing yourself as the person you are meant to become. Start rehearsing your success internally, and watch how it begins to unfold. Externally, in the modern world, stillness has become rare. Everywhere you turn there is noise. Noise from the outside and noise within. Endless scrolling, constant notifications, unrelenting pressure to move faster and achieve more. It is easy to be consumed by it all. Easy to let the chaos shape your thoughts and dictate your pace. Yet hidden beneath all this noise is a powerful force most people overlook. Silence. It is in quiet moments that you return to your center. When you intentionally create a few minutes of silence each morning, you give yourself something invaluable: presence. This practice is not about meditation for appearances. It is not about sitting still because someone told you to. It is about creating space. Space for your inner voice to rise. Space where your thoughts, your intuition, and your truth can finally be heard. In a world that is constantly shouting, it is silence that restores clarity. When you choose a stillness, you step outside the chaos, even if only briefly. Those moments become a refuge, a place where you reconnect with who you truly are beneath the noise. Your mind is continuously shaped by opinions, expectations, and judgments from the outside world. But in silence, your own voice becomes clear again. You begin to hear your own wisdom, the quiet insights that are usually drowned out. This practice is not about escaping life. It is about grounding yourself so you can meet life with strength and awareness. As Seneca reminded us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Much of our stress is born from mental noise, from fears, distractions, and endless mental chatter. Silence interrupts this cycle. It allows you to reconnect with what is real instead of what is imagined. Even 5 minutes of silence can shift your entire state of mind. It is not the duration that matters, it is the intention. Those few minutes allow you to reset your inner world before the outer world demands anything from you. They help you reclaim authority over your thoughts and emotions. In stillness you breathe, reflect, and prepare. You may not notice it immediately, but when you begin your day in silence, everything changes. Your mind becomes centered instead of scattered. You respond instead of react. This simple habit builds clarity, peace, and resilience over time. The power of silence is not merely the absence of noise. It is the permission you give yourself to reconnect with your core. 2. Hear your own thoughts without pressure, to allow your inner wisdom to surface and guide you forward. Silence is not emptiness, and in that space you begin to notice what truly matters. When the noise fades, your priorities become clearer. The things that once felt urgent lose their grip. What remains is what is essential. Stillness teaches you discernment. It shows you where your energy has been leaking and where it needs to be protected. In quiet moments, you start to observe your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You notice patterns, reactions, habits that have been running on autopilot. This awareness is powerful because what you see clearly you can change deliberately. Without stillness, life pulls you forward without your consent. With stillness, you regain choice. Most people spend their lives reacting to messages, to opinions, to pressure, to expectations. Silence breaks that cycle. It gives you the pause that turns reaction into response. And in that pause, you reclaim authority over yourself. You begin acting from intention instead of impulse. Stillness also strengthens your resilience. When you learn to sit with quiet, you learn to sit with discomfort. You stop needing constant stimulation to feel okay. You stop running from boredom or unease. This is where mental strength is built, not in constant motion but in calm presence. When your mind is no longer scattered, your focus sharpens. You begin to see obstacles more clearly and approach them with steadiness. Problems stop feeling overwhelming. They become manageable. Silence trains you to remain composed when pressure rises. It teaches you to stay rooted when everything around you is pulling for attention. Over time, these moments of stillness reshape how you move through the world. You become less reactive, less anxious, less rushed. Your decisions gain clarity. Your actions become more deliberate. You stop wasting energy on what does not matter and start investing it where it counts. This is how inner strength is cultivated. Quietly, consistently, and intentionally. Stillness becomes your anchor. No matter how loud the world becomes, you carry calm within you. And from that calm comes clarity. From clarity comes direction. And from direction comes a life lived on purpose. Once you embrace stillness, your perception begins to expand. Thoughts that once felt urgent now settle into perspective. You notice patterns previously invisible. Every impulse becomes an opportunity to observe instead of immediately act. Awareness replaces chaos. Judgment softens, allowing insight to surface organically. When life pressures intensify, you remain grounded, responding with precision rather than instinct. Every choice becomes deliberate, every movement intentional. Time ceases to dominate. Instead, you navigate each moment with attention and purpose. In this state, emotional turbulence diminishes. Anger no longer dictates behavior. Frustration loses its immediacy, and anxiety recedes into awareness. You discover patience not as a concept but as a lived experience. Decisions, once clouded by fear or distraction, now emerge clearly, supported by focus cultivated through repeated quiet practice. Confidence grows quietly, unobtrusively, but unmistakably. Each morning spent in reflection reinforces this foundation. Each pause strengthens control. Every deliberate breath anchors you deeper into presence, forging resilience that extends far beyond the initial practice. Silence also unlocks creativity. Ideas previously hidden beneath mental clutter begin to emerge naturally. Solutions appear effortlessly when the mind is uncluttered. Vision sharpens. You perceive opportunities that would have been overlooked amid constant noise. Innovation arises not from force but from clarity. Inspiration flows because attention has been reclaimed from distraction. Insight becomes a habitual companion rather than a rare occurrence. By dedicating moments to stillness, you construct mental space for growth, strategy, and exploration, expanding your capacity for thoughtful, meaningful action. Furthermore, stillness cultivates discipline without struggle. It teaches consistency without coercion. The mind adapts to periods of intentional quiet as it would train to a skill. Habit transforms from obligation to alignment. You begin to honor commitments to yourself automatically. Focus deepens because the mind has learned to prioritize internally rather than respond externally. Energy, once scattered, becomes concentrated. Motivation emerges from inner authority rather than fleeting external triggers. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. Instead, circumstances yield to your clarity. As mastery develops, you discover the interconnectedness of thought, emotion, and action. Mental clarity influences bodily stability. Emotional balance informs decision-making. Actions, guided by awareness, reinforce character. Each element supports the others in a virtuous cycle. This alignment fosters confidence that does not depend on recognition, success, or validation. Strength becomes inherent, unshakable, and quietly formidable. Life is no longer a series of reactive episodes but a continuous exercise. In intentional living, stillness also fosters humility. In observing yourself without judgment, you perceive limitations without fear. Weakness is acknowledged without shame. Mistakes are understood as data rather than failures. Growth emerges from clarity rather than pressure. You learn to value patience, persistence, and preparation above immediate gratification. Each decision gains weight. Each action becomes meaningful. In this way, character evolves not by striving for external reward but by cultivating internal integrity. Ultimately, the practice transforms your relationship with time. Moments are no longer lost to distraction. Every interaction, every thought, every task is infused with presence. You become an architect of experience rather than a passenger. Your awareness of cause and effect sharpens. You see how small consistent choices accumulate into extraordinary outcomes. Responsibility becomes empowering rather than burdensome. The clarity derived from silence, reflection, and deliberate observation enables mastery over environments, relationships, and self. This is the path of intentional living. It is not dramatic, it is quiet, it is patient, it is precise, yet through consistency it produces profound results. By dedicating yourself to moments of silence and mindful observation, you reclaim control, sharp judgment, and cultivate strength that persists regardless of external circumstances. Life becomes less chaotic, more navigable, and deeply aligned with purpose. In the stillness you become whole. In the quiet you uncover capacity previously hidden. And in that discovery lies freedom, the freedom to act, to decide, and to exist fully without surrendering to noise, expectation, or distraction. Once you internalize presence, action becomes deliberate rather than reactive. Every gesture, every movement, every word emerges from conscious intention. External pressures no longer dictate response. Circumstances remain neutral, merely presenting challenges to navigate with focus and composure. Attention is refined. Clarity guides perception. Each choice compounds into habits that strengthen resolve. You begin noticing subtle patterns others miss, the slight shifts in tone, the unspoken signals, the hidden opportunities. Awareness becomes a skill that expands into every domain of life, shaping strategy, relationship, and decision-making with precision. This practice also fosters emotional sovereignty. Frustration no longer hijacks thought. Fear becomes manageable rather than paralyzing. Disappointment is acknowledged without surrender. You develop an inner equilibrium that remains unshaken by chaos or unpredictability. Mind, body, and spirit syn. Chronize, creating harmony between impulse and reflection. Actions become extensions of thought instead of reflexive reaction. You experience a profound sense of control, not control over others, but control over yourself, your energy, and the boundaries of attention. This autonomy cultivates confidence that is quiet yet unyielding. Stillness sharpens discernment. When noise is reduced, priorities become unmistakable. What deserves focus rises naturally, while distractions recede. Decisions are informed by long-term vision rather than short-term impulse. You observe cause and effect with precision, noticing consequences before they unfold. Responsibility is internalized, and with it comes freedom. You realize that the external world cannot compel thought or action without your consent. By cultivating this internal sovereignty, life becomes navigable rather than overwhelming. Challenges transform into opportunities for application, refinement, and growth. Mental clarity flows into creativity. Ideas previously dormant emerge with unexpected ease. Solutions appear spontaneously when attention is concentrated. Insight does not arrive as random luck, but as the natural result of deliberate reflection. The mind, freed from constant interference, begins producing innovative responses to old problems. You discover perspectives previously invisible, connections unnoticed, possibilities unconsidered. The capacity for foresight strengthens because observation, patience, and intentional. Replace haste, distraction, and reactivity. Creativity becomes a product of discipline rather than chance. Consistency is paramount. Repeated practice reinforces neural pathways, solidifying focus, emotional control, and insight into habits. The cumulative effect is compounding growth. Small, deliberate actions taken consistently become monumental over time. Strength, patience, and wisdom are built layer by layer, reinforced through routine. Each morning, each intentional moment, each conscious decision contributes to the construction of a self capable of navigating complexity with composure. This is not immediate transformation but steady evolution, grounded in repeated effort and reflective practice. Stillness also cultivates humility and self-awareness. By observing without judgment, you recognize limitations without fear. Failures become lessons rather than burdens. Weaknesses are opportunities for refinement rather than excuses for inaction. You begin to value preparation, patience, and persistent effort above fleeting recognition or validation. Insight emerges not from reaction but from careful observation. Understanding deepens. Self-mastery becomes the foundation for influence, decision-making, and resilience. You learn to navigate the world effectively without being consumed by it. Time itself becomes a resource rather than a constraint. Each moment is recognized for its potential. Productivity is guided by focus and intention rather than urgency and external pressure. Activities align with meaningful objectives rather than superficial demands. Energy is allocated to endeavors that amplify impact rather than dissipate effort. Life, once scattered and reactive, becomes structured by conscious choice. Momentum accumulates because each act is intentional, each decision deliberate, and each thought disciplined. Presence becomes the architect of experience, shaping reality rather than being shaped by it. Ultimately, this path, stillness, observation, reflection, intentionality cultivates a life of depth, resilience, and mastery. You achieve freedom not by avoiding challenge but by commanding attention, regulating emotion, and directing action. Inner strength becomes the silent engine behind every outcome. Clarity replaces confusion, patience replaces anxiety, and purpose replaces aimlessness. By cultivating these qualities through consistent practice, you construct a life aligned with your highest potential. You become capable, steady, and aware, prepared to meet whatever unfolds with unwavering resolve and measured action. Mastery emerges gradually through deliberate engagement with life. Observation cultivates insight, while patience strengthens resolve. Every challenge encountered becomes an opportunity for refinement. Obstacles no longer intimidate, they instruct. You develop discernment, perceiving subtleties previously unnoticed. Judgments become precise, decisions informed, intentions unwavering. Experiences, once overwhelming, transform into lessons guiding strategy, behavior, and thought. Each encounter, each interaction, each decision contributes to building competence, resilience, and clarity of purpose. This process does not demand haste. Transformation occurs incrementally. quietly, persistently. Focus amplifies effectiveness. With attention deliberately directed, distractions fade into insignificance. Energy, once scattered, concentrates on meaningful endeavors. Priorities crystallize naturally. Actions synchronize with objectives. Outcomes improve because preparation precedes execution. You anticipate consequences, respond adaptively, and avoid wasted effort. Awareness becomes automatic, guiding conduct without conscious struggle. By committing to mindfulness, even brief intervals, you strengthen mental acuity, emotional balance, and physical readiness. The cumulative impact compounds, producing excellence over time. Equanimity flourishes. External circumstances cease dictating emotional state. Pressure, criticism, setbacks, unpredictability, all are met with composure. Stability derives from internal regulation rather than external conditions. Emotions no longer dominate, reason governs. Confidence arises from competence reinforced daily. Decisions, once clouded by anxiety or doubt, are now guided by logic, experience, and intention. You navigate complexity efficiently, responding proactively rather than reactively. Life is less turbulent, more navigable, and increasingly aligned with long-term vision. Reflection integrates growth. Experiences are assessed thoughtfully, extracting lessons while discarding extraneous noise. Successes reinforce effective habits. Errors highlight areas requiring attention. This feedback loop strengthens judgment and enhances adaptability. The mind becomes agile, capable of evaluating novel situations without succumbing to impulse. Through reflection, you cultivate foresight, making future encounters more manageable and strategic. Insight transforms from occasional awareness into habitual comprehension. Each evaluation informs the next decision, creating a continuous cycle of improvement and refinement. Discipline consolidates achievement. Consistency converts intention into action, action into habit, habit into character. Repeated engagement, even in small increments, constructs a foundation for sustainable excellence. Motivation becomes redundant, routine sustains momentum. Strength, once elusive, emerges naturally from adherence to principle. Actions align with values, reinforcing integrity and reliability. Over time, effort compounds invisibly, producing results disproportionate to individual contribution. Life, once subject to randomness, becomes increasingly orchestrated. Through deliberate practice, presence deepens comprehension. Attentive observation reveals hidden patterns within relationships, environments, and personal tendencies. Clarity replaces confusion, awareness substitutes for reaction. With understanding comes adaptability. Challenges are anticipated, resources allocated efficiently. Influence grows naturally as conduct reflects mastery over thought, emotion, and action. Social interactions become purposeful, communication precise. You engage fully, respond effectively, and leave impact without exerting unnecessary energy. Presence enhances perception, strengthens reasoning, and fosters meaningful connection. Ultimately, mastery, focus, equanimity, reflection, discipline, and presence converge. The individual evolves beyond mere survival, achieving intentionality in all endeavors. Choices are deliberate, responses measured, and energy optimized. Strength is internalized, resilience becomes habitual, clarity transforms into guidance. Life is navigated consciously rather than endured passively. Each day becomes an exercise in skillful engagement, producing competence, influence, and profound fulfillment. You operate from a position of authority over self, cultivating a reality aligned with aspiration, potential, and enduring purpose. Clarity expands when observation becomes habitual. Perception sharpens, revealing connections invisible before. Uncertainty diminishes because insight arises naturally from consistent attention. Every circumstance transforms into a lesson. Every interaction becomes informative. Intuition strengthens, guiding judgment with subtle precision. You begin anticipating consequences instinctively, acting decisively without hesitation. Understanding grows and confidence in choices deepens. Even complex situations feel manageable because mental acuity has been cultivated deliberately, reinforced continuously through reflection and awareness. Adaptability intensifies. Change, once intimidating, now presents possibility rather than threat. Flexibility becomes instinctive, enabling navigation through unpredictable events with composure. Challenges are analyzed calmly, responses tailored strategically rather than impulsively. Obstacles evolve into catalysts for growth, complications into opportunities for innovation. Mental agility allows quick evaluation of options, selection of optimal approaches, and execution with efficiency. Competence arises not from external validation, but from repeated practice, self-discipline, and mastery of internal faculties. Resilience solidifies quietly yet powerfully. Disappointments, failures, or setbacks no longer erode resolve. Emotional equilibrium preserves strength in adversity. Recovery becomes instantaneous because mindset has been trained to accommodate difficulty without losing balance. Fortitude manifests not through effort alone, but as a natural byproduct of preparation, consistency, and intentional cultivation of perspective. You remain steady even when external conditions fluctuate, maintaining poise and focus regardless of circumstance. Insight deepens awareness of self and surroundings. Reflection uncovers patterns of thought and behavior previously unnoticed. Actions align. Ith principles rather than habit or reaction. Each decision demonstrates deliberate intent. Recognition of long-term outcomes guides immediate behavior. Priorities become transparent, distractions lose influence, and resources mental, physical, emotional are deployed strategically. Conscious effort harmonizes with intuition, producing consistent results with minimal wasted energy. Efficiency emerges organically from alignment between understanding, choice, and execution. Composure enhances influence. Calm presence commands attention without force, inspiring trust, cooperation, and respect. Persuasion arises from clarity and credibility rather than volume or aggression. Communication, both verbal and nonverbal, reflects careful observation and intentionality. Leadership emerges through example, demonstrating competence, integrity, and foresight. Others respond naturally to steadiness and insight, reinforcing authority derived from mastery over self. Influence extends across relationships, tasks, and environments, amplifying impact. Through consistent, deliberate action, growth becomes inevitable. Repeated application of focus, awareness, adaptability, resilience, insight, and composure compounds into lasting transformation. Character strengthens subtly yet persistently. Habits solidify, decision-making improves, energy efficiency increases, and perception sharpens. Challenges are met with strategy rather than panic. Opportunities are recognized early, and potential previously dormant is activated continuously. Life ceases to feel reactive. Existence transforms into a sequence of intentional actions, guided by clarity, empowered by preparation, and supported by experience. Ultimately, mastery emerges not from grand gestures but from cumulative diligence. Subtle shifts in thinking, disciplined application of skills, and refined observation reshape reality incrementally. Influence, stability, and competence grow organically, fueled by consistency and cultivated awareness. Each day, each choice, each action contributes to constructing a life marked by intentionality, effectiveness, and fulfillment. Strength resides internally, autonomy governs conduct, and clarity guides effort. By committing to this process, existence becomes navigable, purposeful, and resilient, producing outcomes reflective of careful cultivation rather than chance. Emotional control emerges through deliberate observation and disciplined response. Impulses, once dominant, are now moderated by awareness. Reactions are measured, considered, and purposeful. Anxiety, anger, and frustration no longer dictate behavior. Instead, reason governs. Inner stability becomes habitual, forged through repeated practice of reflection and conscious decision-making. Awareness of triggers allows you to intercept instinctive reactions, replacing them with thoughtful, intentional responses. Tension is diffused before escalation. Conflict is navigated strategically, and relationships thrive because engage. Ement is grounded in composure rather than emotion. Stress transforms from burden to mechanism for growth. Challenges that once provoked fear now prompt problem-solving and adaptation. Each difficulty becomes a training ground, sharpening resilience, enhancing patience, and cultivating creativity under pressure. Mindset shifts from avoidance to opportunity. Obstacles are interpreted as situations to learn, adjust, and master. The body responds to these mental adjustments, releasing tension and optimizing energy for action. Stress, managed consciously, becomes a tool for building fortitude rather than a force for disruption. Focus intensifies with repeated attention to priorities. Distraction loses power when awareness is intentionally directed. Mental clarity improves because cognitive resources are concentrated on meaningful endeavors. Each task is approached methodically with precision and dedication. Efficiency increases naturally as scattered effort diminishes. Decisions are informed, deliberate, and aligned with long-term vision rather than transient impulses. Habits of attentiveness cultivate insight, and the mind, disciplined through routine, becomes adept at filtering irrelevant information, preserving energy for what truly matters. Self-awareness deepens as observation extends inward. Recognition of strengths, weaknesses, tendencies, and biases allows informed action. You understand limitations without judgment, using insight to optimize performance. Mistakes are evaluated dispassionately, providing lessons instead of guilt. Competence is cultivated by aligning behavior with principles rather than emotion or external pressure. Confidence grows, grounded in understanding and preparation, rather than reliance on circumstance or approval. Self-mastery becomes the foundation for every action, creating internal authority that guides behavior seamlessly. Decision-making becomes methodical, almost instinctive, without sacrificing discernment. Each choice is informed by prior experience, anticipated outcomes, and strategic consideration. Emotional interference is minimized because responses are grounded in rational assessment rather than fleeting feeling. Actions reflect foresight, enabling navigation of complex situations with skill and effectiveness. Efficiency, accuracy, and adaptability converge, producing consistent results across personal, professional, and relational domains. The ability to act decisively, without hesitation, is cultivated through repetition, reflection, and mindful engagement. Finally, this practice fosters unshakable equanimity. External turbulence, criticism, adversity, unpredictability loses capacity to destabilize. Calm endurance, cultivated internally, becomes a signature trait. Challenges are met with composure, obstacles with creativity, and setbacks with persistence. Life ceases to feel chaotic. Instead, it unfolds as a structured sequence of choices guided by awareness, strategy, and intention. Presence, clarity, and resilience merge, producing a state of sustained mastery. Through continuous cultivation of these qualities, existence transforms into a life of deliberate action, steady progress, and enduring fulfillment with emotional control, serving as the cornerstone of all accomplishment. But in a world that never stops pushing, always demanding attention, silence becomes more than a pause, it becomes a sanctuary. It's an opportunity to step back, to reflect, and to discover clarity amidst the chaos. Without these moments, we risk losing touch with ourselves, drifting through the relentless pace of life, and forgetting what truly holds meaning. Modern society glorifies endless activity, constant doing, and perpetual motion. Yet, acting without first embracing stillness often leads to exhaustion, overwhelm, and a sense of disconnection from our deeper purpose. The unceasing rush to perform, to move, to achieve can leave your mind fatigued and your intentions scattered. It allows you to detach from external pressures and reconnect with your inner compass. It helps you remember your values, your priorities, and your long-term aspirations beyond the distractions of daily life. Many fear silence, thinking it will feel awkward, boring, or unproductive. Our minds are conditioned to remain constantly busy, processing information, solving problems, and responding to stimuli without pause. But genuine strength arises from the ability to simply exist in stillness, to let thoughts settle, and to observe without judgment. When you integrate silence into your morning routine, it isn't laziness, it is preparation. Just as the body requires rest to regain energy and grow stronger, the mind requires moments of quiet to reset and sharpen. In these silent intervals, awareness expands, thoughts become more coherent, decision-making improves, and a deeper understanding of yourself emerges. Emotional clarity grows, goals become sharper, Interactions with others are approached with more presence and intentionality. In these moments, you may begin to hear the subtle answers to questions that have lingered in your mind for weeks, months, or even years. Instead of fleeing from the discomfort of quiet, you learn to embrace it, recognizing it as the space where clarity resides. This practice doesn't need to be complicated or lengthy. A few deep breaths, sitting still for a handful of minutes, or walking alone through nature without distractions is enough to cultivate awareness. The purpose isn't to force mental emptiness, but to allow your thoughts to settle naturally, to pause the endless chase of tasks, and to simply exist in the present moment. The benefits extend far beyond those few minutes. As you make silence a daily habit, the calm and focus it fosters will permeate every aspect of your life. In a world that constantly pulls in every direction, silence becomes a revolutionary act, a reclaiming of your energy, your attention, and your power. It is the one domain where you determine what enters your mind and what remains outside. It is where you reconnect with yourself, restoring the strength needed to meet challenges with composure. As Blaise Pascal wisely observed, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. In that quiet space, you confront what is essential and discover that the answers have been inside you all along. So tomorrow, before the relentless noise of the world infiltrates your mind, create room for stillness. Spend even a few minutes with yourself, breathe, reflect, and allow clarity to surface. The external world will always be loud, but within the sanctuary of silence, you discover your inner strength. From this place of calm, you rise to meet the day with intention, purpose, and focus. Make this practice part of your daily routine. Your mornings can become a fortress of clarity, a space where your mind is centered and resilient. For more guidance on mastering the art of stillness, reclaiming your focus, and cultivating intentional living, continue your journey with Stoicism Notebook. Check out the videos on the screen and immerse yourself in the wisdom of self-reflection, deliberate action, and the power of quiet mornings. The world may never stop shouting, but in silence you find your true power. And from that foundation, you can face every challenge with clarity, purpose, and unwavering strength.